Now, our first guest today is a musical theatre icon, set to celebrate 40 years in showbiz next year. But that is not slowing her down. Here to tell us more about her latest role and why she says it's given her a new lease of life, please welcome Ruthie Henshall. Good to see you.
Lovely to see
To the
you.
music. Cabaret. So you're in Cabaret.
I am.
And this is the role, I keep mentioning this in saying that you're here today, that you have said this role is just perfect for me. More or less about your age as well, which is interesting you say that.
It's been a joy to do this one because the thing that is so wonderful about it is of a woman of my age, very rarely do we get the romantic part. And it's the love story in the piece. So, you know, because nobody normally wants to see older people snogging, do they? Or, you know, we don't actually have romances anymore, do we, after a certain age? And so that's really lovely to have that side.
Fraulein Schneider.
It is.
She runs the boarding house.
She does.
And then she has a romance with one of her lodgers.
She does. She does. And she finds love for the first time in her life. And he happens to be Jewish and she's German. He's a German Jew. And so, not to have any spoilers, but yeah, that she has to make some really harsh decisions because it's set in just as the Nazis are starting to come to power.
It's 1930s Berlin.
Yes, yeah. And this was written 40 years ago, and it could not be more relevant today. And that always blows me away, because it was the same with Chicago. When I did Chicago, we opened, I think it was 1997, on the back of the O.J. Simpson trial with this show that was talking about getting away with murder, a celebrity getting away with murder. So Candor and Ebb are exquisite at being able to write something that stands the test of time.
But just talking about that, I had the pleasure, obviously, of working with you. It was such a laugh.
We did have a laugh.
We did. And, you know, you are West End royalty and are known as what is known as a triple threat, which is somebody who can sing, who can act and who can dance. You can do all of that fabulously. But you were talking about Chicago, you were a triple threat in a way, because you played Roxy, Velma and Memo, and Mama, which is the first ever woman to play all three roles. So that's a major, massive achievement to you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm just greedy. I'm just really greedy. Because I did both of the main roles, both sides of the Atlantic as well. So I've always said Chicago is the show that keeps on giving. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, it keeps on giving to you.
It does, doesn't it? And now I'm in the Kit Kat Club, you know. And it's such a beautiful show because they've turned the theatre into the Kit Kat Club. So you feel like you're in Berlin in the 1930s, 40s. And so it's such a beautiful environment for the, you know, you get served cocktails and a little bit of food if you fancy it as well. And yeah.
I love that, this immersive phase. I like it just really... I love the theatre anyway, but it really kicks it in, takes it to another level. So this is 40 years of showbiz. And I was interested to read in this period of time when there's a lot being spoken about gentle parenting and easing your children to, and, you know, the yes sort of parenting. Your mum was very different with you, right? It says here she was pushy, she was difficult, she would say the most difficult and upsetting things to you. But you think that's played a part in your success, or...?
Yes, I do. I mean, my mum... There are lots of reasons that I think that I became so driven. You know, but I think that the fact that my mum always... And you could say this was harsh, but I didn't feel it was. Second was never good enough for my mum. So, you know... And I think I did want to please her. She wasn't always... She was quite a complicated woman, let's put it that way. And I think part of that, you know, made me want to please her and all of that sort of stuff, which you could say was, you know, not the greatest thing. I think it made me who I was. You know, our parents make us who we are. Sometimes we have to go into therapy about that, but that's all right.
But do you feel that she was living through you?
Yes.
Very much so. Were you doing what she wanted to do?
Yes, she came from a very poor family, and so she educated herself into a career and a marriage, and so she wanted what was best for me. Her mother was very much the same as her, and so I think that she lived through me in a huge way because she couldn't do it herself. She ended up being a drama teacher, training herself to be a drama teacher. And that gave me great happiness because I wasn't doing something just for her. I loved it, and she was getting such a kick out of it that, you know, how wonderful is it to... I mean, I've got a daughter who's at uni and she wants to be an actress. and I can't imagine what it will be like to watch her doing.
But are you as tough on her as your mum was on you? And her mum on her?
Probably not. Probably not. I wonder whether the childhood that I had made me the driven person that I am. But she does understand from seeing me and me talk about the business. It is not easy. Yeah. It's not something, you know, she's watched me have a really, you know, fabulous career. This is not the norm for people in musical theatre. Most people are going to many auditions before they even book one job. You all know that.
As I said, Ruthie Henshall has stayed with us today because we're going to be talking about dementia. And in an emotional interview on Breakfast TV just this morning, Pauline Quirk's husband, Steve, and their son, Charlie, have spoken for the first time about her dementia diagnosis as part of a mission to raise awareness of this life with this disease. You certainly do. I mean, it is a learning curve, and all of us on here have got friends or family members with Alzheimer's or dementia. Your mum sadly passed away with dementia. Do you recognise that? You know, the kind of, no, it can't be that, surely, or small changes. Did you notice anything with your mum to start with?
I think the thing that makes one feel so guilty is not recognising because you think it's something else. And my mum liked to drink. And so I thought that the slurring and the falling over was because she was drinking, and it wasn't. That was the first... She had Lewy bodies dementia, which is part of Parkinson's. Yeah. So the Parkinson's was making her fall, and she was falling a lot, and I was thinking, where is she hiding this stuff? And she wasn't drinking at that point. But it was just a case of, well, she's back on the hooch.
Understandable. Yeah. Understandable you'd think that.
Yes. Yeah. But you can't help but go through that sort of guilt of, I must have spotted it, because she would phone up also if my dad went out of the house, and she'd leave messages. One word, please, 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 please. And I'd think, what is this all about? Because she suffered with mental illness, it didn't...
It blurred slightly.
It blurred slightly. And it wasn't until you really started to see her forgetting things and having a conversation, and then she would come back, you know, 5 minutes later and she hadn't taken it in. Yeah. And also, the spending, she was always a hoarder, but she would sit on the phone with her credit card and order thousands of pounds worth of stuff. And in the end, I had to take her card away from her. And so it's like everything just got bigger.
It is gradual. I mean, we were talking about it this morning, and it's a person doesn't go from the person you know to dementia. It's quite often quite a slow process, and it's the small things. And I always say hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
You know, that my family, we look back on things now and I go, actually, my dad was diagnosed in when he was 72, but we look back and go late 60s. He was starting little behaviours that were out of character for him.
Yes.
So he was an army man, you know, very clean, smart, shaved twice a day, you know, always clean. Started to suddenly not want to have a shower and was putting his shirt on from the day before. And my mum was saying, why are you wearing that? With egg stain on, you know. He's like, oh, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. And just being, suddenly he was a bit grubby, if that's the word I can use. And it was so unlike him.
But those are all things as well that can happen with old age.
Yes.
So you can see why it just creeps up.
Creeps.
Was there one big moment that you was it the money side of it? Because I've heard that quite a bit, that you can get really chaotic with
Well,
with
she
money.
started to, for me, and it was one of the most beautiful things that happened about her dementia, was all the anger and the negativity and all the things that she'd been holding on to, and the drinking fell away.
Oh.
And for about 6 months, she was the mother I always wanted her to be.
Oh my goodness.
And she was beautiful, and then as it progressed, she became more and more childlike. But when all that stuff fell away, and she was saying, you know, things like, you know, I'm so sorry about this, or I'm so sorry about that, and I thought, you know, what's going on here? Because it was like a layer had just dropped.
I was just wondering, how did you find? I mean, I spoke to a friend of mine recently who found it's taken such a long time to get a diagnosis. It took me nearly 2 years to get a scan and to get diagnosed. Did you have a similar experience with your mum?
No, it was quite quick, actually, because once it had taken hold, it was... I knew when she gave me power of attorney with my father that something wasn't right, because she's always been, you know... My mother never even contributed to a bill while we were growing up, you know what I mean? It was her earnings were her earnings, and suddenly it was just her whole demeanour changed, and she was getting a kick out of life. And I know that there are 2 different ways that they can go with dementia. I mean, some people turn absolutely, you know, the other way and get really nasty and frustrated, but you can't imagine what it is to suddenly...
But the thing is, you can't... It's like, it would be like a young woman saying to us, what's going to happen to me in the menopause? And we go, wow, you know, one of the 100 things. But this is what happened to me. So, you know, I'm an ambassador for the Alzheimer's Society, and I share my story. My dad had Alzheimer's, died with Alzheimer's. My mum, sadly, now has Alzheimer's. But I am so much better looking after my mum and being with my mum because of all the mistakes I made with my dad, because there was so little awareness, and there needs to be more, but we are more aware now. And so when my dad would say things like, oh, I've been here before, haven't I? And I'd go, no, Dad, you couldn't have been here, because I thought I was helping him remember. And I used to use that word. I go, Dad, remember, Daddy, remember we did, remember. And now I look back and think, he didn't remember, he couldn't remember. My mum, I don't do any of that. And if she says, oh, I've sat here and done this show, I just go, yeah, that's nice. And it's done. There's no stress.
That's it.
But sadly, it was a hard lesson to learn. And I think supporting people with it, Brenda, you've had that in your...
Yeah, I've had that in my family, and in order to, as you say, understand and appreciate it more, I went to an Alzheimer's ward where, you know, music was a big... It played a big part. And with my aunt, who sadly passed from it, we put music on, and she'd be dancing and she'd be singing the songs and the lyrics and remembering it. So have you found that it's like we now kind of know what things to look for, but it's as an education of what do we do to help? How can we support those people?
Well, I don't know if I saw a sort of viral video of this ballet dancer who they put the music on. She's got dementia, and she repeated every single movement of that ballet of Swan Lake, and it's in there. Yeah. But music brings it out, and we had when Keir Starmer came in, he said, "I'm going to back Gloria's Law." You absolutely,
your mum.
Yes, which means nobody has to die on their own ever again.
Was your mum? It was during COVID.
It was.
You couldn't go in.
I couldn't go in for a year. Yeah, and so Gloria's Law is so that nobody ever dies or has to die on their own ever again. So anyway, Keir Starmer, somebody would be able to get into a care home any time, one person, even if it's, you know. And he then reneged on it.
Well, we did actually speak to a government representative today, and they said in April 2024, in response to the Gloria's Law campaign, the government introduced Regulation 9A.
It's rubbish.
Which, let me just say, I have to do this.
I know you do. I'm sorry.
They made it compulsory for people in care homes to receive visits from people they want to see. They should not be discouraged from taking visits outside the care home, and people attending appointments that do not require an overnight stay can be accompanied by a family member, friend or advocate of their choosing. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but we will. Yeah, that's another day.
Thank you.
That is another day. But listen, thank you for sharing the stories about your mum, because the more we talk about it, it helps other people. If you're worried about a loved one, you need some support, or you want to maybe find out the signs of dementia, go to our website, itv.com/helplines, and on there you'll find lists of organisations that you can talk to for support. Thank you very much, Ruthie Henshall.
Thank you. I think you're all wonderful.